Welcome back to CBH4K, and this is the blood of the Dawnwalker. Yeah, Daywalker.
The Witcher series really did well to capture that sense of exploring a brutal fantasy world as a protagonist who knew how to get their hands dirty.
Yeah.
But in the upcoming dark fantasy RPG, The Blood of...
That's another thing, is basically going up against Witcher 3 as well. And Witcher 3 has been unofficially crowned as the new big, great open world RPG in all of gaming. The Kingdom Come Deliverance 1 and 2 are also considered up there. I think maybe people love Kingdom Come 2. Yeah, people just love it. They have it in such a high regard. There's some problems with this, problems with every game, but it's more or less considered Witcher 3 is the king, period. And there's so many good reasons why that's true.
Dawnwalker, a new game from a team of former creatives behind The Witcher 3, it leads
won't go
you
into
into a more ambiguous setting as you decide which path to
I don't know how to edit out that some of the blood and gore from this. Hopefully, IGN. This is IGN. Hopefully, IGN is smart enough to keep their stuff down to a minimum, so I don't get in trouble. I might do something that keeps me safe. You know what I mean? But I like the darkness, the grim darkness of this.
Protagonist will take, one that maintains its human form and ideals, or one that embraces newfound powers as a half-vampire. Just ahead of Gamescom 2025, we got an extended walkthrough of The Blood of Dawnwalker from the devs at Rebel Wolves that put a spotlight on the parallel playstyles of human and vampire action RPG gameplay. So far, The Blood of Dawnwalker is putting forth some strong concepts for its take on a dark fantasy RPG that's all about navigating two different worlds in cunning fashion. Part of what makes vampires so compelling as horror characters is that they can be tragic figures. Having to contend with supernatural forces that potentially put them at odds with humanity is a concept that can be great to explore in video games. That idea is at the heart of The Blood of Dawnwalker.
Yeah, there are other reasons, but yeah, mostly.
I am life. I am death. I am everything in between.
Set in a supernatural version of 14th century Europe, The Blood of Dawnwalker focuses on Cohen and his vendetta against a powerful coven of vampires that seek to take over Europe with violence and even some old-fashioned medieval-era politicking.
The greatest enemy of all, politics. I do want to talk more about the narrative about this game, but I don't know too much about it. And I think I like what they've done here. They're focusing on the narrative aspects instead of the gameplay aspects in this video. I wasn't expecting that, but I'm kind of glad they did it, because I can really pick apart that instead. Because the narrative is important. Like, one of the main reasons why video games still hold a prominence in in most Western culture is because it has there's a number of good narratives in it. Like, for instance, Red Dead Redemption 2. If you've never played Red Dead Redemption 1 or 2, then I would recommend you start with 2, and then go into 1. It's such a... Let's just say a unique perspective on it. It's such a good ride. I played Red Dead 1, then 2. I'm talking about other games instead of talking about this one. But you guys get the idea what I'm trying to say. Like, if you've ever played any game with a good narrative to it, you will feel like you were that character for a set amount of hours or days you played it.
After Cohen has a violent encounter with the vampire leader Brentius during the abduction of his family, the protagonist develops a special strain of vampirism that transforms him into a half-vampire that can navigate the increasingly blurry line between human and supernatural.
Things will be different now.
Yeah, everyone says that.
For all of you.
Our extended preview focused on a quest called A Monk and a Saint. which saw Cohen travel to the settlement of Svartrow to uncover a hidden tomb, and the town's more nefarious side.
Wait, are you I?
This quest features a round of combat sequences against some foes capable of withstanding Cohen's abilities in both his human and vampire forms.
Mm-hmm.
It initially seemed standard fare for an RPG quest, but where Dawnwalker differs is in how the quest can change depending on the time of day and which form you take on to complete it. The leading narrative hook carrying players forward is the month-long time limit, giving Cohen only a limit.
Yeah, I remember that. You only have a month-long time limit to do certain stuff. So you can either do... I remember games having a time limit in certain quests or even certain... just in overall gameplay. And I think as time went on, game development moved away from that because they wanted to give the player time to just embrace the game or figure out how to do it their way and just sort of like take their time, go on all these side quests. But I think I might like this idea better because it forces the player to make choices quickly. And it forces them to move ahead with the story and like, okay, we're going to go do this. It forces you to narrow your checklist down so you can get through things quickly rather than like navel gaze off to the side and just mess around. You can even finish it quicker if I recall correctly.
The period to rescue his family. You can largely advance the day at your choosing, and Dawnwalker doesn't necessarily pressure you to make some time-specific choices. That said, your approach to progression will very much influence the course of events in Cohen's journey, especially with which side of Cohen is taking the lead. Time is essentially a resource that you can spend with each passing quest and activity, and depending on what you do and when you do it.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 40.
The developers gave us a run of the preview's main quest from two different sides,
Mm-hmm.
as both Cohen's human and vampire forms. When playing as the latter, Dawnwalker shifts to a stealth action playstyle, where the protagonist must avoid detection from guards and civilians. Cohen's vampire abilities are also unleashed in this state, allowing players to walk on walls, teleport, and use blood abilities and vampiric claws to cut down foes. And yes, you'll also be able to drain the blood from humans, foe and non-combative alike, for stealth takedowns or outright executions. I was impressed by how much the action and pacing looked like a mix between The Witcher's grand scope and the immersive sim elements of Dishonored when seeing Cohen in his vampire form. You can truly move across rooftops and get the jump on some foes, which was very satisfying.
I don't think I didn't notice you walking up a wall there. It's an important trailer. That was pretty cool. Yeah, they seem to give you a nice suite of abilities. But the question is, can these abilities really... are they useful? Are all of them useful? And they just don't, look nice. Because there's the problem where certain games gives you like cool abilities, but they're sort of like useless.
Kind of see.
You guys know what I'm talking
It
about.
shows how players will have to grapple with some moral choices, as Cohen, who needs to feed to maintain his vampire abilities during the night, must do. While you can feed on animals to offer some temporary relief, the larger payout comes from human targets. The vampire form looks to present a more direct and action-heavy approach to engaging with the quests. However, Cohen's human form presents an interesting contrast by focusing more on investigation and tactical methods. Because Cohen can blend in with others in his human form, there are far more opportunities to engage with the different characters and uncover pathways for success without the need for bloodshed.
Perhaps the crypt was built over or sealed away?
It was also fascinating to see how the characters react to knowing the vampires are now in control of the region.
So, it sounds interesting. So you're much more, you can go down dialogue trees in daylight and you can use much more tactical maneuvering in daylight. While in nighttime, you're basically combat focused. You're trying to kill things. You're trying to do stealth combat and just overuse of your superhuman abilities. That sounds interesting. Also sounds pretty, I'd say fairly diverse in its ways that you can finish quests in well, basically move around. I noticed in his human form, he doesn't, teleport all over the place. He doesn't run up walls. He doesn't do anything. He just sort of walks. I wonder if they're gonna give you a horse in this game.
And at
I wonder if they're
levels,
gonna give you a horse.
understandably, far worse off. When things pop off, combat shows the stark differences in
Yeah.
Dawnwalker's playstyles. I adopted the.
I noticed I was talking about how narrative. I was talking about the narrative, but I'm glad they showed the gameplay too. The combat here seems similar to Witcher, but it also has a little bit of Kingdom Come Deliverance mixed into it,
Feels like
and it gives a sense of
swords and sorcery combat.
yeah, it gives a sense of like you're fighting
swordplay. It presents an opportunity for
in an
players to
actual
feel
fight.
powerful, where they have to exploit vulnerabilities. In his human form, Cohen relies on his swordplay, along with gadgets and hex spells, to overcome some enemies.
Hex spells.
Similar to the Outer Worlds, you can pull up a tactical menu to target an enemy to execute attacks that can stun foes or deliver killing blows. Combat gets a bit more hectic when in Cohen's vampire form.
Really?
Which sees him unleash his supernatural blood-based
So
abilities.
he basically
In addition
uses
to
his
sword,
superpowers.
Cohen's
Yeah.
massive claws can tear into enemy defenses.
Uh-huh.
And you can pull off combat finishers where he can lay into foes.
Okay, combat finishers. That's good. That should add a level of like spectacle to fights, and I do think spectacle is important to gameplay because you're at the end of the day you're having fun.
However,
This is power
Dawnwalker
fantasy,
still
man. Come on,
presents
let's have fun
challenges
here.
With elite foes, such as the human blood guards who have armor and weapons to stand up to Cohen's vampiric abilities, along with some more dangerous monsters and the rival vampires that can overpower the protagonist if you're not careful. An interesting detail that the developers highlighted during the presentation was that players could make a beeline to the primary goal of the game early on. Think of how players might try to defeat Ganon in the opening hours of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. However, the team stated that it'll be a challenge to pull off, as the core game is all about powering up Cohen with new gear and abilities. Still, I'll be curious to see if it's possible for players to clear the campaign early on in Cohen's journey. I wish we had more of an opportunity to see what the larger world would be like, but so far, The Blood of Dawnwalker captures the
No,
feeling
the
of
small
navigating
scope.
through the
You
world
understand
of a half-vampire,
what
which is
you're
a
in
very
store
compelling
for.
premise for a role-playing game compared to the
I remember in Cyberpunk they showed you a small snippet, and people immediately started creating this massive world in their head, and it started turning Night City into something much bigger in their head. Now, a lot of that was to see part of Red's hype. That was their fault. And some of it was fans' fault and the customers' fault because, well, you guys build it up in your head too much a little bit. But I'm not telling you that you should feel bad about that, because you should always try to be positive in life. And yeah, sometimes people are going to take advantage of that, and that's going to suck, yeah. But other times, you will have your expectations met. I'd rather have high hopes and be disappointed than low hopes and just be correct all the time. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, yeah, of course I'm right, yeah, because everything's miserable. And there's also, like, you could be, you have low hopes and, your expectations are overwhelmingly met. Like, you got something, like a nice surprise, like the person did something that you were not expecting that was overall good for you and other people.
Vampire, The Blood of Dawnwalker captures that open-ended freeform nature of classic role-playing games like Gothic 1 and 2, which is exciting to see. Hopefully the full game will be able to deliver on the concept of a vampire RPG with some world-changing stakes. For more on IGN's coverage of Gamescom 2025, check out our recent previews of Ninja Gaiden 4 and Marvel Cosmic Invasion. And of course, for everything else in the world of video games, stick with IGN.
They tried to change me into one of them. But I became something else instead.
Well, this does look like a lot of fun. It looks like it could be.
Their worst nightmare. A Dawnwalker. trapped between the two worlds. Fighting to even the score. Fighting to understand the evil behind it all. He is out there watching, seeping you, growing.
Alright, so the game looks like it'll be a lot of fun. I don't see this being like the one that dethrones The Witcher 3, or, well, people still think Skyrim is the number one. Let's not forget that. I don't see it like being a threat to the current ecosystem. Not yet. Not yet. I need to see more before I can make a final assessment of it. But from what I've seen, it looks like it'll be up in at least the top 20 open world RPGs that are out when it comes out. At the very least. It has a lot of potential. Alright. If you want to see more games from Gamescom, then you can check out my Outer Worlds 2 video I did. It's on my channel. You can find it fairly easy, as well as other games like Dawn of War 4 and Mechanicus 2. So hopefully you'll get a sneak preview of that, as well as Space Scum, a Battle Brothers-like set in space. They're all over my channel, and I did them fairly recently, so if you want to take a scope at them, then be my guest. Also, if you like this content, then hit the like button and subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to let yourself get notified. I will see you in the next one.